Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 315 of the Civil Gore podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And this is Brian, and we have a fun show today. We're back on our normal format, but we also have a bonus interview. First, we're going to do the movie CUCKOO, which is great because it's like we synced up with KK Sam again.
Yeah, that was totally intentional, by the way, because I didn't want to listen to the CUCKOO episode with KK Sam until I had watched it, so I thought that would be a perfect time to do this movie.
Yeah, of course, though. It's like ours comes out, it will now come out the same day as they do, but they're already on their next episode. But it'll be good if you're ever like behind an episode, you'll catch up. It'll be fun, though, for fans, because we have fans that share both, love both our podcasts. And so that'll be great. They get two, like now. They get a KK Sam and a Civil Gore on the same day now.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not so worried about spoilers because KK Sam spoils the entire movie, so...
Exactly. So if you heard theirs already, then you already know what you're getting.
Yeah.
And one of the bonus things is we have back on our new friend of the show, I have to say, because now she's already almost halfway to the 5-Timers Club already.
That's right.
She's moving out, and that's MEGHAN ADARA, of course. She was from the movie The CELLAR, and she's got a new movie coming out called Amelia that's in production right now, and there's an Indiegogo going for it. So she will, you'll hear that interview coming up after the first chop, and you'll hear about her new movie and see how, and if you missed the first time, you'll see what a delight she is this time.
Yeah, that was a cool interview, and I'm looking forward to her new movie. We both like The CELLAR, and she was a pleasure to talk to, so very excited to have her back on for a second time. All right, Brian, I guess we'll get right into it. This is our first chop. All right, I didn't really have anything, although we both watched a screener we got, which probably won't talk too much about because we may have an opportunity to do some interviews there, but that was a screener called Are You There? Which was
I
really cool.
Enjoyed.
Yeah, I really liked it as well. It had a very cool premise to it that I liked. Without giving too much, I won't give anything away, but there's a ritual involved, and I like movies about rituals and weird little games that you can play with the supernatural. So I'll leave it at that. But yeah, that was a big part of the movie.
It kind of remind me a little bit like a slightly, but not really at all mechanically the same way, but a little bit like Talk to Me, kind of where there's like an object that gets used. Yeah, and that kind of vibe. But this one, I feel like it's almost like it's weird. As dark as it is, it's also got a little bit of lightheartedness to it. I think the lead actress, she's amazing.
She's very good, yeah.
And so it definitely try and go see this. I don't know when I think it's coming out the 7th for everybody. I don't know if that's in the theater, but Laura Salette is the lead actress in it, and she is fantastic in the role because you have to, without giving a spoiler away again, you have to play this role a certain way, and I think she found the perfect way to play it.
Yep.
So definitely check that one out. Next one I watched, these are two on Shudder. I think I briefly, actually, in the Megan interview, you'll hear this again. I mentioned the movie Grafted, which just came out Shudder, which is a really cool premise about this young daughter that loses her father because in an accident with an experiment, he has this unique skin grafting technique, and he just not to go into too many spoilers, he just it doesn't work out well for him. There's a problem with his formula. And so years later, she's now, now she's living with her aunt, and she decides to pick up, basically, due to some peer pressure and some, just horrible, like peer abuse that you get, like bullying kind of thing from not only her cousin, but her cousin's friends. So she basically picks back the experiment to try and perfect it, and it just gets wild, amazing body horror. If you're a body horror person, you will absolutely love this movie. There's some great gore in it, some great body horror. I mean, there's a little bit of CG used, but not to the point of where it's distracting in any way. It kind of has to almost be to pull this off, I think. but really good movie. The other one I saw, just Tim and I, this is Tim would probably like this even better because we're both into wrestling. I'm way more into the WWE stuff, but Tim is like hardcore on like those local gym wrestling things that him and his brother go to. Yeah, and this one you'll love. So it's basically this. It's Chris Jericho stars in it too, which is kind of funny. It's basically this small little wrestling promotion, and they get called to this town for like a boatload of money, I guess. To them, I think it's like 50,000, but to like a little wrestling promotion, I guess like this, that's a lot of money. So they agree to go to the town and put on this wrestling show, and all hell breaks loose. And that's all I'll say. But it's definitely a fun one if you like wrestling. You like kind of culty things. There's a little bit of mix of everything in there for you, but some good gore too. Definitely fun. Oh, and Stephen Aga's in it, who I'm like becoming like one of the biggest fans of his. He's so funny in this and good. And we liked him. What was that one? The one that something was shit in it. The one where he's the plumber. What was it?
Yes. I remember now. I don't remember. But
oh my God, that shit happens. But
something like that. Yeah.
But something where him and his son are like plumber and and stuff, and a really wild, wacky kind of screener we saw a couple of months back. Anyway, definitely check this out on Shudder. It's weird because it appeared on Shudder, but it didn't appear in the new release section. And I saw an ad that someone said, "Oh, Dark Match now on Shudder," and I'm like, "Oh, great!" And I'm like, "Where is it?" So I had to actually search it, and I did it and found it, and really enjoyed it. Nice short. Yeah, it's like a 90-minute clip. Really easy watch. Oh, and quickly before we end, want to say, if anyone hasn't seen The Substance yet, and you're waiting for it to either come down in price, or you're waiting for the physical media, or whatever you are, it's on Mubi, which is where I saw it, and I rented it. Rented the service for a month, couple, I guess, in December. But now Mubi has a great deal. It's 3 months for $1. And so you can get like basically a 3 months trial for literally $1. And they have a ton of crazy artsy kind of movies on there. They have weird stuff though. Like they literally, they have, do you remember that the Popeye cartoon where Popeye was, like it was, and Bluto was like the Sinbad? Yeah. It was like a very famous, they have that on there for some reason.
Oh my gosh.
Very odd. Movie's got some crazy stuff, like some shorts, some like art. It's definitely an artsy type of thing. I guess they got lucky to grab the Substance as a because there's some good Oscar buzz on that one. Of course, if you haven't seen that, it's another amazing body horror film, and Demi Moore just is like excels to the levels I think everyone knew she could, and and she's not that she was bad before, but like in terms of she's done horror back in her earlier in her career. This like elevates her to legendary status though, in the horror world, I think.
I did have one thing I wanted to mention that I started a book, and I just want to give you the premise of it. I can't give you spoilers because I'm only like 2 chapters in, but it was a book I picked up that it was really highly regarded last year, and it is actually it came out in 2020 was when the English translation came out, but I didn't hear about it until last year, and it's called Tender is the Flesh. And it's by an Argentinian author, Agustina Bazterrica.
Why does that sound familiar? Did you mention it to me like separately, maybe?
I mean, it's been popular. Like I've seen it come up on a lot of lists, so you may have seen it.
Was it on our preview maybe? Or no, right? It's not new, is it?
It's not new. That's the thing. This came out like a while back. But I think it's just now gotten into like the culture, because I just now started hearing about it in horror lists, so I picked it up and listen to this premise. So it takes place in a world where there was an animal virus, and it basically killed all the animals, like livestock and everything. And if you ate animals that were infected with this virus, you would die. Like straight up, you would die.
Oh, that's kind of like with the Last of Us with the cake. Remember the food, anything with grains and stuff in it. And now with bird flu,
instead of everybody going vegan, which is what you would think, it gets to the point where they now just raise human for meat. And so cannibalism is like a normalized thing, and they raise there's humans that they just raise just for meat and skin. And it is so creepy. Like I only read the first 2 chapters of this, and already the premise has me so creeped out. Like I can't imagine. It's a short book. It's less than 300 pages, but it sounds absolutely horrible, and I can't wait to finish it.
So are there like Michelin star people restaurants in this universe yet?
I guess. I don't know. the whole premise has got me so creeped out already, though. And I'm only 2 chapters in. I mean, this is going to be insane. But I will definitely give you guys a full review when I finish it. It shouldn't be very long because it's a very short book.
Are there also like celebrity chefs like Rachel Slay or Anthony Bourdain in there or something? I don't think.
Like it brings new meaning to Kitchen Nightmares. I will have to
God,
say that.
yeah. I love that show still. I'll still
No,
watch
I
it,
do
but,
too. I do.
So I guess I guess now we're gonna bring To Be Trap back. I promise. I know we kept saying that. We just haven't got it.
I've actually got one picked out for you, Brian, already.
Oh, you do? Okay,
Yeah,
good. Give it to me because I'll do it for next week.
No, I don't have it. I don't have it handy. I just found it the other day. I'd have to look it up.
No, but I meant like send it to me and I'll watch it over the weekend. So that'll be the first one, and I'll look for one
definitely.
for you.
Okay.
Because honestly, we can keep sending each other ones and just alternate. Just so we have them in the reservoir to kind of grab it.
But I'm not doing like I said. I'm not getting mean. Like I'm not trying to find the worst possible movie that I can find on there. Like the most. I don't want to do that. I want to give you a movie that I just think will be funny for you to watch and review. And so it may not be the worst movie on Tubi for sure.
You know what we could do too later on too is like maybe do like themed like Tubi traps where like you'll do a randomizer and it's got to be like starting with that letter, just to kind of like force us into something sometimes.
Yeah, like it's got to be insect horror or it's got to be underwater horror or something like that. That would be cool.
Yeah, like maybe I'll work on a whole like spreadsheet of like topics and things like that, and then we can like do randomizers. Kind of gives us the challenge who's picking the movie too. So yeah, because I think To Be Trapped is a fun thing, and I think that is one of the things I kind of missed that we kind of dropped off due to the schedule. But now it'll be much easier to do, especially and honestly, the only reason we haven't started yet is because of the preview episodes, and also because we've been getting a ton of interviews again. And
should we mention that right now we're not really focusing on the dismemberment? I don't know if it's even.
Maybe.
I don't know. We haven't decided yet if we're even going to pursue it, because one thing we had tossed around the idea like we did an episode or two ago where we decided, okay, we're just going to do it. We're going to fold it into the weekly episode. But the reason I don't like that is because then it dates the episode. And most of our episodes are pretty evergreen. You can listen to them anytime. And, other than, Brian and I talking about what we watched that week or something, they're not dated, hard dated like that. Only the dismemberments are hard dated. And I'm hesitant to fold that into the regular episode. Now, all of a sudden you're listening to, Blu-rays that came out 3 years ago. If you're going back into the back catalog, I just don't like that. So we may just do away with the dismemberment entirely. We'll still talk about, if there's cool Blu-rays we picked up or something that's like really notable coming out. That doesn't mean we're not going to talk about physical media at all, but it may be something where we're not just dedicating the full dismemberment, because honestly, we're in a better place now having done that in terms of having episodes banked and being able to put out a timely episode every single week than we ever have been in the history of this podcast.
Yeah, which is pretty impressive. Because even like our first, like, I'd say in the beginning when we were like, we went on that streak of like a year without missing a week at all. Yeah. It was just, I think it was, it still was like, there was still that pressure of like trying to get something out there for just to get it out straight. And I'd rather have like more of a kind of like a regimented episode schedule with a more constant, format, And another thing we talked about, by the way, for the dismemberment thing is we, like, especially if we get the physical media ourselves, like here's a perfect example, right? We really wanted to push our YouTube thing. And then once Blue Sky comes out with their new thing, Flashes, I'd like to do a lot of stuff on there. And so like, that's where maybe we do like a 2-minute video and throw it up on our YouTube. Like, hey, I just got this because I'm getting like the Terrifier big set that's arriving tomorrow. Exactly. Something like that would be cool. Some unboxings of those kind of sets, stuff like that. I think that might be the way to go on it because, I mean, yes, it was fun to do the dismemberments with the film historians, but even, I mean, I'm sure you guys could tell, like, even our energy on those were getting a little bit like, drained from it because it just, it literally was us reading facts of stuff that you could look up easily. It was the same reason why we catered the first chop a little differently. We used to put everything on the first chop. The first chop was 25 to 30 minutes sometimes.
Yeah, of news that you could go to anywhere and just bloody disgusting and read for yourself. It's like I don't want to be somebody reading stuff for you. Like
Exactly.
Horror fans are going to go out there and they're going to find that stuff anyway. I'd rather comment on what you already know, like comment on movies that are out, or comment on the news, but I don't want to read you the news. I'm not a broadcaster. So.
Yeah, we're not like, it's not Gary Gnu's, no Gnu's with good Gnu's with Tim and Brian Gnu's.
No.
So yeah.
No.
But so I think so don't, it's not that we will not have any kind of I mean, even if we, maybe even we just like start every Tuesday we add a social media post of our picks of the weeks or something like simple like that even.
Yeah, even just throw it out on social media or something.
And also
sure.
talk to us, email us, message us if you want to know anything cool coming out. Like, hey, you got anything? What's cool coming out next month? Interact with us too that way because that'll be fun.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into our interview because this was awesome. Of course, Megan came on, like we said, for her new movie Amelia, and she talks a little bit about her character and everything in that, and really, really great little interview. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. So,
and she's just one of the sweetest, nice people. It's like,
she really is.
She's so kind and so like fun, and and it's like we had a couple little technical difficulties in there, which hopefully Tim edited out.
Yeah, you won't hear the technical difficulties.
Yeah, because it was glitchy with the Riverside, as great as it is, does have its glitch moments sometimes if the internet is slightly off.
It is a little sensitive to internet connectivity issues if you have those.
Yeah.
But so here we go, our interview with Meghan Adara. Hey guys, so we had such a great time talking with Megan last month, or at least Brian did. I had a scheduling conflict, unfortunately, but we talked with her about her fantastic movie, The Cellar, that we wanted her back on to chat about her latest project, which is called Amelia. So welcome back, Megan.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes, anytime. So before we get into Amelia, I want you to maybe introduce yourself again for any listeners that maybe missed the last time you were on, and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Meghan Adara. I am from technically Brighton, which is just an hour outside also of London in the UK, if you couldn't tell by my accent. And I am a UK-based actress, and I have worked in TV, theatre and film. I studied at college, and then I went on to drama school and started to work on like short films, progressing into feature films, and that's where I am now.
Very nice. Yeah, I've always wanted to go to the UK. I'm going to get it over there at some point.
Oh yeah. Where do you want to go? London, I'm guessing.
I don't care either.
Okay.
Honestly, don't care. I don't know. I mean, London's like, that's kind of like probably the most touristy, right? But also more expensive, though, I would think.
Yeah, Brighton, obviously, from where I'm from, is a pretty good like destination. It's very like touristy and obviously near the sea. People seem to love it. It's been actually voted the 35 best place in the UK to
nice,
something like that. So yeah,
nice. That's right. And well, now Tim, if you go, you have a tour guide at least.
There we go.
You can reach out.
Yeah, you
can have the walk in Megan's shoes tour. Like
we got a friend from Yorkshire over there.
Oh yeah,
Matt. Yeah. So yeah, I got some contacts now.
Yeah, and he owes me a tour because we showed him around when he was here. So he stayed with us for a little bit while we were living in New York. So yeah. So before we get into the new project again, I just wanted to follow up because with The Cellar, because I believe it's still continuing to win awards and get like a ton more stellar reviews there. So did you get any more cool updates from the festival circuit that's on?
Yeah. So since I did the podcast with you last, we won an award in New York and I think about 6 or 7 awards in LA, which I was very fortunate to be able to go to both places and accept them, and obviously thank everybody. We've also been put into some other festivals, as in like officially selected, and can't remember what other one we've won, but we won a recent one as well, and I also won Best Actress again. So I've won, I think, 3 or 4 Best Actress awards.
Wow.
So yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because as we said, we both love the film so much, and I'm so glad that you're getting these accolades.
No, it's great for everybody on the team as well, and especially obviously Jamie. It was his first feature film, and it's done in like amazingly well compared to what we expected. So yeah, I think he's quite in demand at the moment.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So I want to get into Amelia because that's what you're here to talk about, and we're obviously looking forward to this. So, what can you tell us about the film and kind of what attracted you to this project?
So Luke Mepham from Macroverse Films, it was kind of like a similar story to how Jamie and I got to know each other. We ended up working on some short films together. One of his actors, who is also in this film, Amanda, she introduced me to him, and he's always like written and directed his own work. So I've worked on like a couple of like short films and some TV, series. And he's basically always wanted to do a feature film, but I guess hadn't really like taken the plunge or didn't feel like he was ready. And when he saw how well the Cellar was doing and the fact that Jamie hadn't obviously directed anything before, let alone a feature film, and we always got on really well. So he wrote this horror film. Obviously, he loves horrors and he knows that I love horrors. And he just wrote it and, asked me what he thought of it and if I'd want to be part of it. And I thought the script was amazing. And also it has lots of like actors that I've worked with before. So I just, I thought it would be another great experience and fun to be on set with people you've worked with previously. So
yeah, and you're like, you got another. This is like you're the title character basically. So what can you tell us about that? I know there's still early in production, I believe, right? But what can you tell us about the character of Amelia and how she may differ or similar to some of the characters you played previously?
So I would say in the sense to Abigail from the Cellar, she's this, when you first see her, she's going to come across as quite timid and, unsure about her surroundings, quite vulnerable, doesn't really have a lot of friends, doesn't know where, her family is, and all that stuff. And yeah, she comes across as quite, I would say, standoffish to other people. She basically enters into this village, and this village is like super close-knit. Everybody knows who everybody is. And then Amelia turns up and they have no idea where she's come from, why she's there, if she knows anybody in the village. And everybody's questioning who she is. And she doesn't know anyone. So she's trying to like get to know people, but they all seem a bit unsure about her. So I would say in regards to the similarity between Abigail and Amelia is when you first meet them, they seem quite vulnerable and distant from like their surroundings and society. But once, people get to know her and once the film continues, I'd say she's quite different to Abigail. I can't say how because I didn't want to spoil the plot, but it's quite a contrast. So yeah, I'm excited to play another lead role and play a different character. I think it'll be really fun.
Yeah, just from the little clips we saw in the trailer of you, you see, I did see that little similarity a bit of that. Because you had such good, like in the Cellar, you had such amazing facial expressions. We had to tell a lot with expression rather than dialogue. And just from the little bits we saw in this, it seemed like you captured that again. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that again.
Yeah, Luke basically writes. He'll have an idea of a story or like a genre, and then works that in, and then he basically writes the script around the actors he wants in it. So it highlights, each other's skills and what, you're good at essentially. So yeah, he wrote the script around the actors he's got involved in the film. So yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like Brian was mentioning, so We saw 2 trailers for the film, and it definitely looks like right up our alley. What can you tell us about like where's the film in terms of production now?
So it's still in pre-production. We have
Okay.
an Indiegogo that has been up, I think, for maybe like a few weeks. We are over halfway of our goal, which is great. However, if you still want to donate, you can donate to the Amelia horror film Indiegogo. There are loads of perks available, including being an extra or, having your company associated with the film. Being the executive producer, I think that was quite cool. So it's getting closer to filming. We're announcing the cast each day. I am doing the social media, so it's actually quite fun for me. Different skill, which I haven't done before, and I was really keen to take it on because I was with how the cellar went. I knew some of the marketing tools and stuff, and considering it's Luke's first feature, thought I'd help him out. So we're getting closer to filming. We're planning on filming in April, May. Some of the script is going through some more finalizations, and soon we're going to be meeting up for a table read. So that might be put up on the social media accounts. So keep an eye out.
Nice. Yeah, I noticed you're doing a good job of that because I keep seeing you're promoting a lot of like people that donate and stuff, which is one of the shout outs. I pulled it up too because I was going to ask you about the crowdfunding thing because we've had so many interactions with social media, and I'm definitely going to donate. By the way, I just haven't got. I've just been a little lazy, but I saw that I still have like 42 days, but I'll still try and do it sooner. You got to get that going in there. But yeah, no, there's some cool perks in here. I saw there's the shout out, which I can tell every listener Megan is good at because she does it right away. And I see all these people popping up on my feed. We keep getting it. And then I'm like, oh, good. Someone else did it. Yeah, I mean, and that's as little as like $6 here. I know it's it's different in I guess the pound, but for US dollars, I think it's like $6 to get the shout out, and then like 25, it looks like you get like a special thanks credit, which that's like one of my little like fun things. I like to always donate to get that credit just because helps my makes me feel important in some way, But I usually put the Civil Gore name out there, not my personal name. But but yeah, there's some cool stuff though you can get. Anyone collectible is like it looks like there's a signed copy of the screenplay also for 25. This one's cool. This is the one I know Tim wants to do. I have a feeling he wants to do the Be on a Missing Person poster.
Oh, yeah.
For $37.
That one was my idea. I was like, we got to do that.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. I was like, because we did it for the cellar and it literally like people went mental for it. And Luke and I were chatting and he was like, what like perks should I put on? And I was like, missing person posters was like a really like in demand perk. And I think it's fun for people when they're watching the film, seeing their faces for like, a few like minutes or seconds and they're like, oh my God, that's me. So I was like, yeah, we should do that one. And they seem to be quite popular. I think some people have bought them. And another podcast guy has bought one of the perks. So he's going to be in the film, which is fun. But yeah, I think that was really great. I also think the extra one is fun as well.
Marketing wise, it's genius though to put that one where the person's face is in it because they'll be telling everyone they know, like, you got to see it. I'm in a movie. I'm in a movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, you get someone who's quite popular. That could it's like hundreds of people could show up there,
Yeah. I'm glad that one was put up. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. And of course, this one is a great one because you could, for $62, you could get a video message from Amelia, which played by you, of course. So if you're such a, Tim was saying, she goes, here's just a pleasant voice. I said, yeah, I know. And my obnoxious voice like counteracts it perfectly. So, but
I'm hoping no one like buys that one like soon because I'd rather like get into the flow of like playing the character like once we started filming rather than like doing it now because it I don't know, it just feel a bit like weird me filming it in like my house. So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. You could also put it that it could you could actually like say, well, this is coming later. Like you
Yeah,
can do it
that's
now,
true.
but we'll give it to you later when it's on set,
Yeah.
which probably what people want would be cool anyway. Yeah, I mean,
especially on set and stuff, that would be cool because then
Yeah.
they get to have a look behind the scenes, etc.
Cool. So we'll make sure we put Tim, we'll put this in the show notes too, so make sure everyone can go on that Indiegogo because they still, like we said, there's like about 42 days left, and
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to make a contribution, and
Thank
because I
you.
always love to help things, and plus now that you're officially whether you like it or not, unfortunately, you're a friend of the show, so
Oh, thank you.
we're going to have to support you all the time. So
No, that's great. You said it was like halfway funded already, and you still got 42 days. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really good.
actually,
goal
it's more
is
now. It's 65%. It says.
That's
65%.
awesome.
Yeah, look
Yeah.
at this. This is cool.
It's
Awesome.
gone up a percentage since I posted saying it was 64% funded. So
Nice. Yeah. I mean, that's really good for these campaigns because usually you get that flood of money right at the very end and you
Yeah.
like go days and days with
yeah,
nothing. But that's great.
no, honestly, it's like sometimes I go on it and I'm like, oh, okay, nothing's been, nothing's happened for a few days, and then you start to like panic, and you're like, oh no. Well, we still got ages on the Indiegogo, so yeah.
Yeah, 42 days, that's a long time
It's
for
a
one
long
of these
time.
crowdfunders. Yeah, that's great. That does not mean, listeners, that does not mean you can wait around until
No,
the
obviously,
last minute there.
Because some of these perks have limits. Like the
Yeah, they'll
signed
get
copy of
gone.
the screenplay only has one
they
limit.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so if
So
you
whoever
want to
jumps
grab
on
it.
that one, I'll leave that one for everybody because I want to. I'll probably do the special thanks one at least, but make sure I get that. But yeah, we'll send the link, and I'll use my big mouth for good and keep telling and people
Thank you.
shouting out on our socials. We'll keep shouting out for you to make sure they check it out though.
So, Megan, I know last time you were on, you discussed some of your favorite horror movies. Have you seen any other ones since you were on last that you really liked? Because I know there was a ton that came out last year that we just loved.
No, I haven't. But I really want to see the Wolfman. Is it the
Wolfman?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet either.
Yeah, I'm possibly, depending tomorrow, I think my boyfriend and I are going to go to the cinema, so I'll probably watch that. So yeah, I'm
Nice.
excited to see that one because we were meant to see it like a couple of weeks ago, I think. And something came up and we couldn't go to see it, so that was sad. But yeah, that one looks really, really creepy. So I want to see that one. I don't think there is any other horror films I've seen. I think I've just, I'm in the world of horror that sometimes, you don't really want to watch horror all the time. Something like
No, to be quite honest, I have not watched anything since. I don't think I've watched a horror film since Nosferatu came out in December
wow.
because Brian and I just got so burned out.
Yeah.
We did the horror challenge last year. I don't know if he told you about it, but we did 365 horror movies. So
wow.
I got so burned out. It's like I don't want to watch horror right now, which is bad for running a horror podcast.
Yeah.
But I'll get back into it eventually. For now, I've been just watching like comedies and dramas and all kinds of stuff. But I haven't watched any real horror. But we got there's a big year coming up for horror. There's a lot of great IPs that are getting sequels and stuff. So I think I'll get back in the mood quick enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I did watch one that was great on Shudder. I don't know if I think you have a Shudder version out in the UK, right? I think it's a Shudder UK, right?
I think the Cellar is going on Shudder.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that'll be huge then.
I could be wrong, but I think we have it. Yeah.
Well, that's great. That'll get you. You have no idea. Like, especially here in the States, Shudder is like people are like, oh my God, it's on Shudder. So it's a huge deal. So that's awesome for you. But and what I was going to say is, so I watched one recently that just hit that was pretty good. And I think it might have been since Nosferatu, my first horror movie also, considering a couple little shorts and stuff I've watched. But this one was called Grafted. It's I think it's from Japan. It's basically about this girl that her father, she tries to continue the father's research where they could skin graft. And like she kind of gets she's kind of like has to go live with her aunt, and she kind of gets into this world, and I don't want to spoil it but it goes like bonkers, like crazy in the best way possible though, but it's really good. I highly recommend that one.
Watch. It sounds
it's body horror, so
it sounds odd, but I'll give it a watch.
Yeah, it's if you like body horror, like in some good gore, that it's got plenty. So
no, I like gore. Okay, I'll give it a watch.
She says it so polite too. She's like, I like gore. But yeah. So yeah, so definitely I recommend that one. So before we let you go, I know it's late near you. I think it's like close to, what is it, 11:30, right? 11:30 almost by you.
11:25. Yeah.
20, yeah. So thank you so much, by the way, for accommodating us. 'Cause
That's
it's,
all
it's
right.
hard to kind of to sync it up, especially
Juggling
when
3 time zones here. Yeah, it's tough.
yeah, I mean it's hard enough sometimes for Tim and I to get a time. Just the two of us, we're 3 hours apart. But
Yeah.
so where can I guess let's just, if you want to let our listeners know again where they can follow you and your projects and stuff, and if you want, I know the Indiegogo is long. It's a long like website thing, so we'll post the link in there. But you could just kind of tell people what to search for to find it, I guess, if you want.
Yeah. So I'm both on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter or X. Facebook is Meghan Adara. Instagram is Meghan_Adara. And Twitter is Meghan Adara. I always get them confused. And Facebook is Facebook and Instagram. We have pages for the Amelia film. So Facebook is Amelia horror / drama feature film, and then Instagram is Amelia horror film. And then obviously it has an IMDb. A website is actually coming soon. It's currently under construction. But we'd be posting like updates and behind the scenes photos and all that. And then Twitter, it's on Twitter as well. I think that is Amelia horror film as well. But yeah, I post every single day on both Instagram and Facebook, doing cast announcements, cast videos, talking about, their favourite line in the film, what attracted them to the film, and obviously shout outs to thank people for donating, and basically just keeping people updated about the film.
Awesome. Well, yeah, so definitely everyone go check that out. And if you search just Indiegogo Amelia, it comes up pretty fast. So I highly recommend everyone, if you can chip in a little bit and help get this film funded fully. You're almost there. And we're gonna keep tabs on it and make sure we help spread the word for you. And
Thank you.
After your performance in the cellar, I as I said last time, I can't wait to see what you have upcoming. So we're really excited to see that.
Yeah, it's a bit nerve-wracking.
I know you said that last time too, and I probably made it worse. I'm like, well, soon you're going to be everywhere now, and
I'm like, oh my god, like, what if I've like won all these awards for the cellar, and then I do like a really horrible job in this one, and people are like,
no,
impossible.
So yeah, but it'll be fine.
Yes,
it'll be great. Yeah,
you're going to do awesome. Yes, if Tim and I have anything to say about it, we think you're going to do amazing. So
thank you.
I think we're looking forward to it. So
great.
So, thanks so much for coming on, Meghan. Yeah, that was great, and I'm really looking forward to the movie. And I wish you all the success in the world. Of course, you're always welcome back
anytime.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Once again, we'd like to thank Meghan for coming on and talking about Amelia. I hope you guys will go out and support that campaign. You can find the link in the show notes if you didn't catch it during the interview. So, go check that out and give them a little support. I mean, that's a movie you can support with a very small donation, and you don't have to spend a whole lot of money to help support that
and
fundraising
every
effort.
Little bit helps. Like, there's like a small $6 one, but that $6 one could be like, I don't know, coffee for someone that day.
And that's a very modest goal, all right? I mean, they're not asking for $1 million. Yeah.
And what were they? They were already like at this point with like 30 some plus days to go. They were almost over halfway there already.
Yeah. So it's got a good chance of getting funded if you guys will go.
Yeah. And I'm definitely going to, have yet to do it. It's just because of my schedule, but I have it listed on my to-do list to donate. I'll probably do the one where we can get Civil Gore in the credits just because.
Yes. All right, guys. So this is our movie of the week. This is CUCKOO, one that I was really looking forward to watching because it made a lot of lists last year when it came out. It was directed by Tillman Singer. It stars Hunter Schafer as Gretchen. I have to say it like that guy says Gretchen.
I know.
I can't
like
even
Dan
say
Stevens.
it like he does.
Well, yeah, because they're like Gretchen, and she like corrects him much like Gretchen.
It's so weird how he says it.
Yeah, I can't repeat it.
Jan Bluthart as Henry, Martin Silkas as Lewis, Jessica Henwick as Beth, Dan Stevens as Herr Koenig, Mila Liu as Alma, Greta Fernandez as Trixie, Proshet Madani as Dr. Bonomo. Hopefully I got that right. Astrid Burgess Frisbee as Ed, Conrad Singer as Eric, Callan Mora as the Hooded Woman.
It's sad that I waited like all week for you. Well, all week, it's Monday. But since I realized the cast name, I was all waiting for you to say that name because it says Frisbee in it.
Yes. Yeah. It reminds me of Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim. Did you ever have to read that in school?
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
That came out as a cartoon called The Secret of Nim.
Yeah, and by the way, Tim, if Jessica Henwick looked familiar to you, she was played Jess Tester in The Force Awakens. She was one of the rebel pilots, the one that
cool.
Okay, that said that she had the line. She goes, "Poe, it's not." I forgot what she said, something about like we can't stop them or something, and like and then
wow.
that's right before they blow that hole through the.
So we got some Star Wars.
The planet. Yeah, no, she's actually a big following because of that. She was such a tiny role, but she was. How people love their Star Wars characters.
If this was the 80s, she would have had an action figure because they made an action figure for every single character, no matter how small.
There might be one of her, actually. She might have come with, I want to say, she may have came with a vehicle.
Oh, cool. I love that about Star Wars. I love that you could find like any random alien in the background would get its own action figure and it would have a name and I just love that. I thought that was so cool.
What? She might not to go out and attack.
I need to rewatch those. I really need to rewatch that whole trilogy. I've not seen it since
I
saw it in the theater.
I meant to say this when we were talking to ES Productions. Now, I know this, it shouldn't be needed, but I will say The Last Jedi, while that was probably the most divisive out of all of them, the novel to it goes into a lot more. Like the novel of the movie goes into a lot more of some things that after reading that, I had a new appreciation for the film. Because there's stuff that that was actually represented there, but you didn't quite catch per se until I read it and then understood it. So Star Wars movie novelizations are always pretty interesting because there's so much about the action and stuff. So sometimes the novelization expands on a couple little things that really help your enjoyment of the movie. Not that, like I said, not that it should have to be that way, but
right.
I do read. I try and read all the novels to the movies at the same, as well. So
that's good to know. The synopsis here. So as we travel to a tangent in a galaxy far, far away,
I know.
We usually do. So the synopsis here is a 17-year-old girl is forced to move with her family to a resort where things are not what they seem. This one, like I said, I went into this one, had no clue what it was about. All I know is people had told me it was really confusing. And I think there was mixed reactions. Like people, it's okay. I never could tell if it was really good or okay. I felt like it was going to be really confusing. I'll have to say I was pleasantly surprised. It was not as confusing as I thought it was going to be. After you get over the initial hump of not knowing what the hell's going on, because the first third of the movie, you're not sure what the hell's happening. It's very puzzling. It's very weird. It's very surreal. But if you're patient, it all comes together and you kind of figure out what's going on. I didn't think it was really all that hard to follow. So as the synopsis said, Gretchen moves with her father and her stepmother and her mute half-sister Alma to this resort town in the Bavarian Alps. And the guy that's running this place is Herr Koenig, who is very creepy, super, super creepy guy. And she doesn't want to be there. She wants to be, her mom died. So she's stuck in a position where she can't, obviously she has no other family, but she doesn't like being with this family, and especially having to move to this resort that she doesn't want to be at. And so
she plays the moody teen to perfection.
Yeah. So Herr Koenig gives her a job at the hotel to kind of help her maybe adjust, but things just get creepier and creepier from there. Now, I will say, I thought, Brian, you're familiar with the idea of liminal spaces and liminal movies, and there's a there's a whole subgenre now of liminal movies. One would be Skinamarink would be one.
Yeah.
There's some other examples I've seen where a lot of the horror comes from the unease and the tension of the setting. And I thought this one was a very liminal movie. Almost every location in this movie is unsettling. It's got this weird muted color palette. Everything looks vaguely retro, but not quite. It's there's some places that look very clinical. I don't know how to describe it, but I immediately noticed that almost every location in this movie was unsettling in some way. It's like the whole backdrops was very, very reminded me of those liminal space games that you see, like the horror games you see out there on YouTube. People make YouTube videos of. So that was my first impression of the movie. I was like, oh, okay, this is like a very liminal film, I think. I don't know if you picked up on that as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was like, and it's so funny because one of the first things is like, you're like, wow, look at that hotel, like that, but the scenery behind it. But yet, like, you get that for about 5 seconds before you, like, it kind of pulls you into this uneasy feeling. And I don't know if that's because, you know, when Dan Stevens kind of like arrives into it and he kind of says that, he kind of takes you out of the mood of the picturescape, I guess, of the the Alps or whatever it is. Supposedly, there. I don't think it's the actual Alps, right? It's just some mountain out there, mountainous range, right? Well, where's the? Is it actually in Germany supposed to be, or is it? Do they ever say?
I don't know if it's in Germany or Germany adjacent, but there's still some adjacent countries that still speak German. So I know Herr Koenig speaks German because he's making fun of the guy's German when he first pulls up. Which I did get some German practice with this one. Although,
that's true. Yeah, I know.
I couldn't understand a word. He was talking so fast, I couldn't understand a word of what he was saying.
Yeah, and they don't always give you the subtitles properly in this, but yeah, no, I did and like that hotel was just kind of creepy. You know how they have it, and like I've been to those hotels where, you know, it's like, you know, when it's during the day, it's not that bad because there's people kind of coming in and out. But at nighttime, when it's like that empty lobby area with like a little bit of like, you know, a little section of food you can grab late night stuff that they have there. There's something about it. It's kind of creepy. Like we went to it was that Magic Mountain hotel we stayed at during the Coaster Radio meetup. I remember, and it was me, Julie, Mike, and Apollo. We decided to grab a beer after everything. So like we couldn't find anything like nearby, so we grabbed like beer at like the gas station and walked back to the hotel and sat there. And it was just like it was kind of like that. They had like a little beer, like one of those things where you can grab it and then like kind of bring it up to the front desk. But like at the time we were there, it was so weird. It was like no one else was coming in the hotel. We were off to this corner just hanging out. But I'm like looking around. I'm like, yeah, this hotel is so like empty. Or kind of like, honestly, parts of that hotel we all stayed at together at Busch Gardens. Remember where Anna was obsessed with the ghost? Like when we were in that restaurant, remember there was like, no one in there, and that hotel's massive.
No, it's even worse, Brian, because when we stayed, I think our room was a little closer to the front lobby. When we went back, and you weren't there for this one, when we went back last year,
right? Yeah, you went again.
We took the kids at the end of right before school started back. They put us at the whole other end of the hotel. So
Julie and I were we like at the other end?
I don't know, but it was weird. You would go around like these little weird staircases and stuff, and then you would just see this hallway stretching into what looked like infinity. Like it just went on and on and on. And then
Julie and I were on one of the. Yeah, we kind of had that view because I remember we would always meet you downstairs. We were kind of in that section where we'd leave in the morning, but we were only on like a second floor, so we could just go down those little ramp stairs. But yeah, if you had to go there, it's like the hallway is like that. This hotel is so weirdly. Because I think it was a convention center that there's no more convention center, right? And I think they just made it all hotel space.
Like the lobby part is not really creepy. Like the lobby it's really big.
With things.
Yeah, it's really big and open. There's a lot of space. There's like a restaurant. There's like a little coffee shop area. Like it's not creepy at all, like the hotel itself proper. But when you go down the hallways is where it gets creepy. Like that's where it gets real liminal spacey. And when we stayed there, I was like, oh my, I'm honestly that last visit, I'm probably not going to stay there again. I'm not naming names of what the hotel was, but I'm probably not staying there again because our room was not great. And I didn't like that long walk. Yeah, it's like, I don't know, it felt like it kind of gone downhill. So we're probably going to find a new hotel for next.
Yeah, when you're on theme park trips, though, you you get some winners and losers. I'll tell you.
You do. Sometimes getting the hotel closest to the park is not the best idea. I mean, it sounds like the best idea, but it's usually the one that's like beat all to hell because everybody chooses that one.
Yeah, but then like go look at the one we used to love to stay up before it got bought out, and it's probably now not cheap at all. That the Dollywood one, where literally it's at the base of the Smoky Mountains. The rooms look like the furniture was from like 60 years ago at this point, but it was clean. And, there was like these tiny little rooms, you entered from the outside, like one of those motel things. There was a little like,
it was very motel.
Area with
it was
coffee.
Very roadside motel. Yeah.
Yeah. But the location you can't beat because you remember you crossed the way, we get their own little path to that cool little village with the donut fryer. Yeah. I mean,
that was
so it like, there's where it's like, and it was like at one point it was like $39 a night. It was ridiculously cheap. But it was worth every penny because of, you needed a place to sleep and you got a view still when you walked out. So it was like, you couldn't have beat that, but it's funny.
There was like this, there was speaking of that. So my dad used to take us whitewater rafting every summer for Father's Day. And we'd go to the North Carolina mountains and go whitewater rafting. And there was this place we stayed at. And I swear, if you pass this place on the road, you would never stop. It was like, I don't know, I can't remember the name of it. It was like Paradise Palms or something. It's in the middle of the mountains. And it's this little strip motel, where it's got like maybe 6 rooms. And I mean, it looked like it came from the 50s, like it's been there since the 50s. And like it was a place like I would never, ever even dream of ever staying in. But it was immaculate. Like the place was super clean. The guy and the woman and man that owned it were super nice. They actually lived in the back of the hotel. Like, it was like one of those, like had like a little
Bates.
Yeah, it was like the little apartment
thing. Did you get a cheese sandwich, Tim, when you ate that?
But it was cool. Like it was a great little place to stay, but you would have never known it. That's like the hidden gems. those are the hidden gems. But sometimes,
I mean, granted, with 6 rooms, I would hope it'd be immaculate. That didn't take
you
that
would,
long.
Yeah, you would think. Yeah, it was one of those kind of and family owned. That was really nice. But anyway, so
anyway,
shout out to that
got
place.
way off here. Yeah,
Yes,
we went way off into this, but
and I guess there will be spoilers in this because I don't know how to talk about this maybe without some spoilers.
Yeah.
But the way the supernatural, I guess, piece of this kicks off is that Gretchen seems to be getting maybe kind of stalked by this hooded woman, and this gave me so much Don't Look Now vibes. Didn't you?
Oh yeah, you're right.
So Don't Look Now vibes. If you've seen Don't Look Now, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It was very, very much that. It felt very Giallo-esque in a way.
Yeah.
And
no Sutherland ass though.
No Sutherland ass in this one, unfortunately. Yeah. But yeah, so and there's a weird very things get very weird with her sister. Like I said, she's not really close to her sister, who, like we mentioned, is mute. But her sister has like these weird seizure things, and like I don't even know how to describe how they portray it in the movie, but it's like it shows a close up of her like heart beating, and it's like it makes all this weird noises.
That was her heart. I couldn't tell if it was a heart or like her neck and a pulse.
It was her neck. Like, it was like her neck pulse. Like when you can tell. So, and it was almost like a time loop thing. Like she would, her sister was like having this seizure, and she kept like flipping back in time and back. This isn't a time loop movie by any means, but it's just this one section. It was really disorienting. I had no clue what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
But the hooded woman thing was creepy. She looks like she's getting and you're already at unease because you feel trapped in here with Gretchen. You feel trapped in her situation. You feel trapped in this resort because they never go outside of it hardly. And Herr Koenig is super creepy dude. You don't know if he's like, I don't know, like you can't. I couldn't tell
over the top comical in a weird way at a lot of times. And I saw a lot of people say that they're like Dan Stevens' portrayal could have been considered comedic through most of the movie because of his accent.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
strange.
Kinda. I see what they mean by it, but I think he was just being Dan Stevens.
Yeah. I mean, it was super, like, you couldn't tell if he was like, you couldn't tell his intentions towards Gretchen. Was he like being a creepy dude hitting on a 17-year-old girl? or was he had some other nefarious notions in mind? You couldn't tell like what his angle was, but he was always like, for example, she was like, okay, I'll just ride my bike home when I'm done with my shift at the hotel. And he's like, no, I got to come pick you up. Like, it's too dark outside. And I'm like, why is he making such a big deal over he has to come pick her up? Like, the whole thing was unsettling, which is obviously intentional. They want you
know
to
what kind of vibes it gave me a little bit too is speak no evil at like parts of it, you know?
Yes.
Where like you're like, okay, what, you know, but the thing is, here's the thing, she like literally is constantly trying to leave because she knows something's up. She doesn't know what it is, but that's what I like. It's like you instantly get drawn into like, and not emotionally, because she's like a moody teen, you know, and she kind of comes off a little bit like, all right, another angsty teen kind of thing. I mean, you find out as the movie goes on, she does have her reasons to be. But like, you know, but then, you know, you're like, she realizes something's wrong and she tried to escape. And I love when she finally is like starting to get so annoyed with everything to the point where she's flat out like screaming at her parents. Like, remember, he's like, what did Dan Stevens say? He's like, oh, it's so wonderful. We needed to have you here. And she's like, see, that's a weird way to say it. And I'm like, I loved when she said it like that. Because Barbara Hunter Shaver steals this movie. I mean, she's so good in this movie.
She is like a super final girl. Like, she is a badass in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she like, you know, she kind of like does her own thing. She breaks every rule that a final girl would break and still like says like, F it, I'm surviving. I'm going to do what I need to here. And she gets beat up in this thing. I mean, like, you know, at one point she's got one of those arm braces, you know, she gets sliced in the face.
Yeah,
you know,
she
by
does
her
like 3/4 of the
sister.
movie with that bandage on her head that you see from the poster.
Yeah, like the poster. It's like you definitely get the poster they show you. You get what in this movie, like that outfit. You know, sometimes they'll show like a different thing, and you're like, oh, where is that in the movie? No, this you see it. That the image from that poster is you'll see in the movie. But yeah, no, and she's just, you know, it's like I think it takes a really long time to really get like almost to the end of the movie before it really starts to all make sense. And even after, I think you have to kind of like think back to like, because you're going to have, even if you understand the movie and you see it done, you're still going to have questions. And I was reading an article on it because I was like, I want to see if anyone else had the same questions I had still after. And almost everyone still had the same one. And it's actually kind of answered in it. And I don't know if this is too much of a spoiler. So I guess everybody, if you really want to be completely unspoiled, don't listen to what I'm about to say. But I kind of always wondered, I'm like, why did the parents like knowingly go along with this thing? Because it basically you find out later on that they're doing this like weird experiment of one of these where like this it's like they're raising these people kind of like they're like half cuckoo birds, like that same kind of like
like so there's I'll try to explain
maybe you
this
explain it better and then I'll go into my thing because I was like I didn't know how I was going to explain this
so
whole...
there's I guess Herr Koenig is aware of this almost like near human species that exist, and like cuckoo birds, as you find out, they basically leave their young for humans to raise as their own.
Yeah.
And you find out that Gretchen's sister Alma is one of these. So they basically leave their young for humans to raise, and then once the young gets of age, then they can come and take it back, I guess. But it's a very, and Herr Koenig, I don't know that I totally got his whole reason for all this, but he's almost like protecting these things and making sure that, you know, this cycle happens.
Yeah, there I don't know if he ever like they ever explained that in any way, but the thing I was wondering, I was like, why did the parents know? Did they go along with it? And then I realized someone pointed out the point, and you get this when you see with Trixie's thing where she almost gets like implanted with the cuckoo goo, I guess, for lack of a better word, because it's like that screaming woman comes in and like takes some goo out of her own area and tries to shove it up the other, for lack of a better terminology. But if you notice when they make that sound, it kind of immobilizes the man and knocks out the woman. So, and then the fact that, you know, so because I'm like, well, if that happened to them, why are they so excited to come back? Why would they ever come back here, you know, like years later? But it's because they don't remember it. It was their honeymoon. So all they remember is that good honeymoon. They didn't even remember the that they were kookified. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you know what? Yeah, that makes sense now.
And they explain in the the whole thing about the cuckoo is, and Herr Koenig explains this in the car with Gretchen at one point.
Yeah.
Because he has a picture of a cuckoo on his dashboard, and he starts telling her
And
about,
on his keychain or something.
Yeah,
He's got, like,
he starts telling her
little
about
cuckoo
how
heavy.
cuckoo birds will lay their eggs in another bird's nest and let the other bird raise them. So
Right.
the other bird doesn't realize it's not her egg, I'm assuming, in real life.
Yeah.
And so she just like hatches it and raises it like her own. And kind of in the same way here, this species is basically a sort of parasite to humans, that they don't realize that this girl is not human, and not
Right.
really theirs.
Yeah,
Because
and
it's
remember,
made to look like her daughter, right? Because the daughter looks Asian, and the mom is Asian, like at least like maybe half Asian at least. So there's not like, it's not like, it's two parents and their child is completely different.
because remember, it's injected into the woman, so
Right.
it's some just by DNA standards have to take over. It just by biologically, you can't totally change the rules of biology for this movie. Where like it's in there, they would have if this thing came out looking completely different, they would have been, wait a minute, it's like. But the thing is, also. And the funny part is, it takes place, like, I guess that they kind of make jokes about it. There's that like sex room in the hotel, the sex cabin, and so it's like, and they're always, that's where they get it there, because most people are in there to do one, like on the honeymoon or to like a romantic rendezvous. They ask for that cabin, they get that weird pink cabin with all of the kind of the stuff, the sexy kind of atmosphere in it, and so the odds of them making sense, because they'll go there, they'll have sex, and then like they get pregnant, kind of thing. Now, granted, obviously, if they, they use protection, they'd be like, oh, it must not have worked somehow, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they don't go into those kind of details. That's not where
you just have to
supposed
accept
to, accept that part of it. That like, mostly it's a honeymoon kind of thing. So most likely, they're.
I did love the look. So the creatures, if you want to call them that, they really did a good job of making them like uncanny valley. They look human, but there's something a little off about them, especially around their eyes and their mouth. And I mean, you even see that at one point, Herr Koenig puts wigs on them to make them look more human, because they're almost bald. It's a very creepy look. I loved the way that they portrayed these creatures, because they could have gone full bore like monsters, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't. They made them look, which makes sense. Like they're supposed to be like almost human, but not quite.
Yeah. If they, especially because if it was like, if it didn't look human, the person would freak out and not raise it, and that's the whole point. They need to raise them for the next.
Yeah, it's almost like, you reminded me of like a changeling. You heard the story of changelings, like the fairies swap a child out. It's almost like that. It's like it's so close to human, but it's not quite, kind of thing. Gretchen kind of finds this all out as Herr Koenig kind of reveals what's going on, and he's basically trapped her. And then there's also a character of a police officer, or should we say an ex-police officer, that's investigating all of this, and he's trying to figure out what's going on. But it culminates
a police officer that wears sweatpants a lot, by the way.
Yeah, a lot of sweatpants. But it culminates in like a third act, which I've seen some criticism of the final act of this movie, which I didn't mind it. I think a lot of people didn't like the kind of the action aspect of this third act, which I didn't mind it. I thought it was like a really extended final girl battle, which I actually liked. I actually liked the end sequence, because it goes on for a while of Gretchen basically trying to get out of this situation, and you've got the hooded woman involved, you've got the cop involved, you got Herr
That
Koenig
other one at one point, the other like cuckoo younger girl,
the younger cuckoo thing. You've got Herr Koenig's involved, and they're all like going after each other, and it's all taking place in this like liminal office space looking place. It's very creepy. It goes on for a long time, but not in a bad way. Like I liked.
Yeah.
I kind of just liked seeing Gretchen try to survive, because she was so tough in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great, like, long, drawn out final girl battle sequence, which I liked.
Yeah, because the rest of the movie was kind of like not slow is not the right word, and it's not really a
It
slow
doesn't
burn
feel like a
either.
slow movie. It doesn't feel like a slow
Yeah,
burn. I'll say that.
it's not a slow burn either. It just there's a lot of like not like it's like there's a lot of like exposition, little bits of reveal mixed in with a couple of action things, but you're constantly your brain is kind of like constantly going on this thing. So that's why I said it's not really like a slow burn in a way because
I
your
almost
brain is picking up the pace in your
Yeah,
head
I
trying to
hate
figure
to
out what the hell's going on.
I hate to bring up Twin Peaks again because I keep saying things are David Lynchian and stuff, but it did kind of remind me again of Twin Peaks where there's not a lot going on, but what is going on is so surreal and weird that you're not bored by it. Do you know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
not saying this
Oh yeah, yeah.
feels like Twin Peaks, but it's got that same thing where the weirdness and the surrealness of it replaces the lack of action, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and like I will say, I thought one of the coolest scenes was another big spoiler here, but Gretchen kind of has this animosity in the like as we mentioned earlier for her sister, but then she gets this then she finds out that like she always thought she could go back to her home, but then she finds out that they sold the home. All her stuff has now been sent here, and she gets the answer, and she realizes that the sister who she kind of always thought was taking everything from her, all the attention away, all the thing, was actually still like, even though she couldn't speak, she used like that text to type thing kind of thing she uses to leave a message to Gretchen's mother telling her that she needs her and she's sad. And Gretchen's mom has passed away in this, which is how she ended up in this situation, having to live with her father. And so and she realizes that she really does care for the sister and she wants to save her. And that one sequence where they're trying to walk through, and it's like, you got to picture this. I have to describe it. It's so cool. It's such a cool scene where she's got Alma in her hand and literally both people are like pointing guns at each other, but kind of like they're in the middle and they don't want her to escape either. So Alma uses that like cuckoo technique to literally freeze them as they're walking through. And it's so tense because they're walking through slow and you could see them like froze. You don't know how long it's going to last. And they kind of get through. And then, and I'm like, wow, that's such a cool sequence, because, and she covers Gretchen's ears. She's like, cause she needs Gretchen to move. And if she hears this, she'll freeze also. So she kind of like holds her ear because remember, you got to remember this plan that was supposed to all happen was sidetracked. Gretchen was never supposed to be there. And, and so now she presents like the opening for the cop to kind of use her to help. And for now, and for like a kind of an obstacle for, I'm going to say his name wrong. Herr Koenig, to now overcome to get his plan in motion, So it's a lot of just crazy. The parents kind of disappear towards the end though, too, right? They're like in it, but then they kind of like.
Yeah. Definitely the focus becomes Gretchen and Alma, and I don't know that I really caught what happened to the parents.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Honest.
I think the last scene was like the mother crying, kind of like the tears were coming out, and I don't know if Gretchen just takes Alma and they
leave. Yeah, you're right.
Leave for good, and like that's it. You're not
just be misremembering
anymore.
That it showed something that happened to them, but it feels like they just kind of vanished out of the movie at some point.
Like if you think about it, though, kind of makes sense though, because really Alma is just supposed to be taken care of by someone else, not necessarily.
Yeah.
If you go to the cuckoo logic of it all, she just has to be taken care of by someone else, and then I did read someone say, and they said they think now that she's not going to be, she's going to go, she may have more of a chance to be just like eventually develop into more of a normal person. I mean, she may never speak, she may never do that, but she's definitely going to be more, she could definitely fit into society at some point.
Yeah, because she's going to be removed.
You kind of believe that they're going to get to some place where Gretchen and her can start a life, and
yeah.
But so there's a lot of like what ifs, like I and I think there's a lot, you're supposed to, I think it's intentional. You're going to go out here trying to think on this one, this is one of those movies it's going to stay with you after for a little bit, Yeah.
And I can understand why people may have had mixed reactions to this in the theater because it's a very strange movie to me. If I'd gone to see this in a theater, I would have thought it was very strange. It doesn't feel like any kind of mainstream horror film. It definitely feels like something I would have seen on Shudder or got a
Yeah.
screener for, not something I necessarily would have seen in the theater. Although I will say props that we are getting horror movies like this in the theaters now, which is amazing. That's a good thing. But it's definitely like for I'm talking about not a horror fans, but mainstream audiences, I think would be really weirded out by this movie. It's very strange for them. For Brian and I, we've seen a lot of stuff like this. I don't think it maybe came off as odd as it might be.
I mean, we've seen movies
public.
where a woman was impregnated by a car. So,
I mean,
this is not shocking to us.
To me, I was kind of like, oh, this is not that weird. This is actually kind of cool. I feel kind of in the middle. I guess if I was giving it a rating, I would give it a 3.5. It didn't quite, I don't think it was quite perfect to get to that 4-star and definitely not 5-star level. But I like, 3-star, I consider like right down the middle. Enjoyed it. But I think that I have to give it another 0.5 star because I thought it did some really cool things. It had some callbacks like to Don't Look Now, and even maybe in some senses kind of like The Shining and other weird liminal movies. Like it just has those callbacks that I really enjoyed as a horror fan. So I'm gonna be generous and give it another 0.5 star. I think I would give it a solid 3.5.
So this is a Timinal movie, basically.
Timinal movie, yes, definitely.
Yeah, I would probably do the same, but I'd give like Hunter Schafer a 5 out of 5 because
one of the best final girls.
Good.
Oh my God, she is so good in this.
She was great in Euphoria. If you've seen that show, she's great in that. She's just a great actress. And I guess I didn't realize they said this was her first movie. And I guess that's true because she was in some other stuff, but I think it was like an anthology-based show or something. And then Euphoria, I think.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize. But then again, when this came out, it may have been her first. But either way, I hope we see a lot more of her in these kind of roles because she does have that. And like, you know what it is too? She has those great facial expressions she does. Even when she was all bloody, like I remember she had this angry look she could pull off like towards I keep wanting to call him like Ham something or Hamkurg or something, but her Koenig. When she would give him that like face, and like even when she was like she got into the accident and her face was a little swollen, her lip was a little swollen, she'd still make the face, and I'm like, wow, she still got that, she still can pull that off. Like so she was very expressive in this, like with things, and she like, and I think so like between that and like her, and I think it's like her kind of emotion, like kind of came like matched, I feel like mine throughout the movie. Like, like right when I was like, oh my God, that's so weird. Why aren't people noticing this now? And like right when she almost said that line, she delivered that line. Like, see, that's a weird way to say it. It's like, it's true. It's like, by that point, I'm like, all right, what's wrong with everyone? Am I the only one that sees something's wrong here? It's like,
I like that her character is supposed to be the moody teenager, but she does not come off as, like, most of the time when I see moody teenagers in these horror movies, they're very annoying. And there's not one time where, like, this whole time I'm siding with her. I'm like, yeah, this does suck. Like, I'm totally on board with you. Like, she never comes off as annoying. You totally 100% sympathize with her the moment she comes on screen. That like this whole situation sucks.
Yeah.
But yet she's so super strong in this. Like it's really there's not a point in this movie where she seems weak. So I don't know. I thought she was a fantastic.
Yeah, and you instantly root for her and like. And
I guess she's not technically a final girl because Alma survived as well. And But,
I mean, we've had this discussion. I mean, I've seen this discussion. The final girl is developed over the years.
Yes, it's the spirit of the final girl. Yeah.
Yes,
she definitely plays the final girl role in this.
Actually, I'd love to see her in a movie like that where she actually plays a legit, more traditional final girl.
Yeah,
like a good slasher. She'd be awesome in it.
Yeah.
Maybe they can get her in one of the Screams.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah. All right. So what do we have for our beer pairing this week?
So I found a perfect one. Literally, it's CUCKOO. It's called, and it's from Craft House Brewery in Henderson, Nevada. So it's Craft House like the German HOUS. And it's 5.4 ABV, and it's basically a Munich Dunkel lager.
So,
and it's a deep garnet hue. Oh, gamut hue. I'm sorry, I read that completely wrong. Oh no, it is garnet.
It's garnet. Yeah, garnet.
You know what it is? Sometimes my iPad like shrinks to fit everything, and so the letters are so tiny. So yes, it is garnet hue from 100% German malt, sits in juxtaposition to its white snow cap of froth.
Oh, this
It says
sounds
light
definitely
toast.
very like the movie.
I know, and it says light toasted bread starts to stir your senses, but then a clean finish from the lager yeast. So that's good.
Definitely sounds like a beer Herr Krennic would enjoy.
Yeah, this is, and actually I saw it's already like you can get this beer pretty much. It's in cans, and it's if you go to Las Vegas, it's at a lot of places. So you can. So
Cool.
maybe at Tim Fest, we'll have
Yeah.
to find this and locate it.
All right. So our fan topic food question, which I've got a lot of questions about this question. I got a lot of
Yeah,
questions
it's a little
about the
weird
question.
one.
It says, if you found out your sibling was a different species, which I'm not saying he's not,
Yeah,
would you
that's
still
true. I do know him. No,
would you still consider he or she family? So I mean, I've got so many qualifiers on this. Like, is he a different species in that, like, he's gonna turn into a near human cuckoo bird thing and kill me, or is this
So-
more like
no,
they-
it would be like, yeah, I would, I'm not going to go dark on that one. Like, basically, it just be another species, like, not exactly, like, the DNA is not matching yours as human. It could be cuckoo-ish. It could be, you find
but it's
out
close
that
enough to
they're-
human that I didn't realize until I found out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's not like he's going to have, like, 3 heads, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you could
I
take
mean-
it that far if you want. Basically, the bottom line is this, my whole point was trying to get, like, kind of try and match the movie motif of it. Like, like obviously Alma, like to the human naked eye would be completely thought of as a human,
Yeah, I think there's no doubt. Yes, I would still consider family because I am. I've had I'm not adopted. But Olivia is. So I'm very well aware of how. And I'll give you an example of how non-relation can be family. 1000%. So when I was younger, actually, well, this is before I was even born. My mom worked for a man and a lady as a very young mom. She was 21, 20 in her early 20s at the time. She worked for a man and a lady that ran an insurance company. Well, she had me while she was working there, and they basically, helped her so much in raising me in terms of, like, helping take care of me, because she was young. She was a young mom. She didn't have the experience, and they essentially helped raise me. So from the time I was a baby, I knew these people, and to me, they were my grandparents, even though they were no blood relation. They were my grandparents, and I grew up, I mean, from from a baby into college, knowing these as my grandparents. So to me, they were 100% my grandparents. I felt no different from them, from my actual grandparents, even though there was absolutely no blood relation whatsoever. So, I mean, I've had that kind of experience of knowing somebody that's not blood related that I think of as family. And then obviously Olivia, being adopted, of course, could tell you that, her mom feels like family. Her mom and dad felt like her real parents. So, I don't think it's any different, even if he was a different species. Like, I grew up knowing him. I grew up knowing my brother as my brother. I can't imagine anything would take that away. You know what I mean? Like, how would you take that away?
Yeah, no, and it was funny. I had a similar situation when I was a kid. When my mom, my parents got divorced when I was like 4 years old. So, my mom and I was living with my mom, and we were in this apartment building, and there was this like little couple down the street, down the hallway, and it was funny. It took me years till like I was like more of like closer to like a teenager before I thought this was their last name. And growing up, I called them, when I was a little kid, I called her Nana and Papa Eggy. Was there was a little old couple, and I'd go down the hallway, and sometimes they'd watch, or sometimes my mom would take them grocery shopping, and they would help watch me while where she would shop and stuff. And the reason why they were called Nana and Papa Eggy, because their real name was Langer, and apparently my mom said I couldn't say that as a kid, so I would say it as Eggy. So that's so. And so it's like the same thing. And like I had at that point, I had 2 sets of grandparents, and I saw them all the time. But these people, I would call them Nana and Papa Eggy, And so like they were another set of grandparents. And also, I'm someone that also considers, like most people, I know most people with pets, they consider that their pets as family, but I consider my friends as family, it's like,
Yeah.
and so it's like, to me, like my closest friends or might as well be a brother or sister, it's because that's the way I just always am, and so it's like, to me, it was not even a question, unless, like you said, unless they were trying to kill us, it's like, of course I would think they were, to me, that's a no-brainer. I just, it was more like I was trying to think of something that kind of I try and think of the theme of this movie. And I didn't want to say like, so if you found out your brother was half cuckoo, bird or something, I figured I was like, oh, that's just too simple of me. It's like, I want to kind of give it like more of a broad appeal to kind of, and like I do, it brings out stories. And that's the whole point. That's what I love about the Fan Topic Foo is it kind of brings out like kind of personal stories, for our listeners. So, it was, it's kind of a cool thing. So that's why I kind of went with more of a vague thing.
I love that question because it does make you think about what your definition of family is. It doesn't have to be blood relation, and sometimes you're closer to people that are not blood relation. Some people than they are their actual blood relation. Like it, I've always been the same way. Like still my buddy Scott that I've known for probably 25 years now at least. We still call him Uncle Scott. Like to the kids know him as Uncle Scott, even though he's he's not related, but we just call him Uncle Scott because, to all intents and purposes, he feels like a brother to me. So, I'm the same way. Like even with like close friends and stuff, like I have there's no dividing lines to me between family and friends. It's like, it's all people you love. That's your family.
Yeah. And exactly. And it's, and also it's, especially if you have like either like a situation like where, like Olivia was adopted, so you can see that, or if you have your parents get divorced, you have step families, you realize it's like, that's not what, blood is not what makes the family, it's like,
Right.
it's the love, it's the compassion, it's the caring for others that make it family, And like we said the other day, we're all family in the club. So, by the way, that's something I had to start like in our little text group because we're planning the Tim Vegas trip. And I'm like, what did he say? Is that Cohen's going to be in the club? And like, so Tim goes, yeah, we're all family in the club. And so now it's a thing.
Yes, I love it.
It was because I was watching that movie Las Vegas. Oh, and by the way, when I make our little Vegas file, that's one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to list the movies to psych us up for the Tim Vegas trip.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah.
So,
but did you die?
Of course, all the listeners will hear every single thing about that trip if we pull it off.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Because that's going to be fun.
Oh, it's got to happen. It's got to happen.
Yes, it will.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We will be back next week. I'm telling you, we got a lot of like episodes in the can, so I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen next week. We're kind of shuffling stuff around. It's one of our rare times where we've actually got more episodes than we have weeks to release them immediately.
Yeah. So, it's a rarity, but it happens once in a while. Go figure. We already know we have like at least 3 more interviews that are in the works to line up. A couple that we haven't heard answers back yet.
We've got one interview in the can that you're going to hear.
Yeah, one that's a great one, which turned out exactly the way I was thought because these guys were so cool that we ended up basically so going off our script of like our little questions. Like we asked some in there, but it basically turned out to be like over an hour and a half of just
it turned into a roundtable of horror nerd talk, which is fun.
But it was great. I had so much fun with those guys, and you'll hear that soon. We're just trying to figure out where to put it in. It's going to be its own episode, if it's going to be tagged on, because it was long, but I think everyone will get a kick out of that episode, and we're going to definitely have those guys back on. Again, we thought because we kind of had that unofficial roundtable. We figured you know what, you guys should come on for official because they had some
real roundtable. Yeah, they had some good insight,
input on and insight on stuff. So yeah, be looking forward to that.
All right, guys. So yeah, like we said, we're going to try to stick to this Wednesday release schedule as close as possible. Obviously, there may be times where we have to drop an interview as a mini-sode, depending on timing and when the guest needs it to come out or whatever. But more or less, we're going to try to stick to that Wednesday episode release, and we will see you back here next week.
Hey, y'all.